I'll go back over to my little floor plan here. And oh, I'm going to get rid of those goofy walls and do something a little bit better. What I'm going to do is I'm dragging around all those walls. I can backspace them all at the same time. Now I'm going to draw some nice walls. I will just let them go up to the roof level. That's fine. I'll let them be the stucco wall. That's fine. I can use this tool. This tool is a little rectangle tool. But I'm going to say let the location line be the core face. Okay. And then I'm going to choose that corner down to that corner. Okay. And we should be in good shape. Close that up. I'll tile these. View. Tiling windows is WT. And over here, I'll zoom that in so you can see it. If you want to zoom that, that's ZF is zoom to fit, or ZR is zoom to a region. Okay, so I got my nice little walls here. They're looking pretty good there. Now, most of the walls we work with are just a single material, but you can create a type of material wall called a stacked wall. Stacked walls are really useful if you have two different materials or different types of layerings of materials and you break them at a set height. For example, in a lot of houses we do around here, we'll say that, oh, the first 3 feet is going to be brick or stone or something like that, and above that it's going to be wood. We'll put some combination of materials in there. And again, we don't use them all the time, but if you ever want to create a stacked wall, what you do is you choose the wall, and we'll say, hey, pull down on the types all the way to stacked walls. Okay. Now, there's only one type defined in my file right now. It's shingle over brick with wood stud. So let's show you what that looks like. It's kind of a combination of the two. But you can define different types of stacked walls. They have properties too. If you choose the stacked wall and you say edit its type, you see it has a structure. And the way this works is it's going to go through and put the brick up to 7 feet, then it's going to use shingles above that to any level that it wants to. If we didn't want it to be that high, we only wanted to brick up the first 3 feet or only up 2 feet or something like that, what we can do is put 2 feet in there. Okay, that's a little bit more modest. Now, let's say, for example, you actually wanted to have brick, but you didn't want shingle above it. You actually wanted stucco above it or something like that. So this is going to be the first of many times we're going to do something here. We're going to choose something that has the type that is very similar to what we want, and we're going to duplicate it and make a change. Okay, so let's show you what I mean. So again, this is kind of so similar to what I want, but just not quite there. So what I'm going to do is edit it. But in terms of editing it, I have a choice. I can either change this one, or I can make a new one that's very similar and has a slightly different name. And the reason for doing that is if you want to keep the old ones around in the library, there might be cases where you still want that old type and you don't want to change them. Duplicating lets you create a kind of a one-off, okay, that lets you make the change without having to change everything in the past. So let me go ahead and I'm going to say duplicate. I'm going to say, as opposed to shingle, I'm going to call it just stucco over the studs. So far, it's just a name, not much difference yet. But if we edit the structure, I can say, let's change the material here to be the stucco wall type. Okay, and we can close it up. And now we've defined a new type. Okay, so that whole behavior of choosing a type, duplicating it, and changing some parameters is very common. We'll do that to doors and windows in just a second too, whenever we have things that are close but not quite right for what we want. Okay, so again, stack walls are, not everyone uses them all the time, but they're useful to know about. Let's talk about this last little chunk of walls here in terms of basic walls. And this is the whole idea of adapting walls or adjusting walls boundaries. Generally, when we put the walls in, they're going to go up all the way to level 2 or level 1, whatever you have them going to. Okay. And we learned last time a little trick about detaching walls to go through, or attaching walls to make a specific behavior. So again, let me just kind of demonstrate that real quick. To do that, I'm going to go to my roof plan. I'm going to draw a little roof in here. So I'll say architecture. Let's draw a nice little roof. I'll pick some walls. Now, right now, let me flip that over. This would actually go up. I have to trim that a little bit too. You see, I made it got a little bit messy there in terms of TR trimming to join those together. Okay, right now it would pivot up from all sides. It would slope up from all sides, being a little hip roof, if you like that terminology. What I'm going to do is change that a little bit, though. I'm going to say on this side over here, turn off the slope, and on the right side also, I'll go up to the options bar and click on this define slope, turning that off. Okay, I'll take a look at what that looks like. Okay, so I got a little roof in there. I think a lot of you have something that looks something similar like this. Show you that what we can do is we can choose this, for example. We know that this wall is kind of hanging around here, but it's looking a little bit too low right now. And we learned that we could take that and say attach, and then click the roof, and it would attach it up there. So that's probably the most common way of reshaping things. It's just attaching them up and making sure that there's a parametric relationship. But let me show you kind of another way to do that, and that is we can customize those. To help you see this, I'm just going to draw another wall just out here, outside the building, just so you can sort of see it very clearly. There's my wall hanging out. And if I choose the wall, you notice I have attached the top and base. That's actually a really good choice. But over here, there's another choice called editing the profile. And editing the profile, it does this. It shows you the pink boundary of the wall, and then you can change it if you want so that it can be a little bit custom. And again, this is going to be a common operation. You're going to find out that this notion of showing you the boundary and then letting you kind of alter the boundary is the same thing we put holes in floors. It's the same way we can put openings in roofs. We can do a lot of things like this. So what I'll say is just edit the profile. There's the little pink boundary. And if I want that to, for example, be some artistic wall that slopes on down, I can do that. Now, because we're using the pink boundary rules, what happens is we have to have continuous loops. It always has to be a loop that doesn't have any overlaps, doesn't have any gaps in it. So what I'll do is I'll use the trim tool, and I'll trim it here, and I'll trim it there. Okay, and that'll make a wall. Now, just to show you a variation on the scheme, I can put another boundary over here. That'll cut a hole in things. So you have complete control. Your walls can be as custom as you want. Now, when you do this, this is actually pretty custom, so don't do this everywhere. You're better off, if you can, just joining to the roof and let that take care of it. Because the nice thing is, with the roof join, I'll show you the big difference between these things. With the roof joining technique, because you created it as a nice parametric relationship, if you decide later that this thing is going to be, oh, much steeper, or even steeper still, that's a little too steep. Okay, the roof is staying aligned, whereas this guy over here won't. That's locked in.